Namaste. My name is Karthik Ramakrishnan. I'm one of the members and coordinators of Akshayam, which was established in year 2016 and is a team of young Hindu professionals at the Hindu Temple Society of North America, New York. We volunteer at the temple to preserve the Hindu tradition and practices and engage in discussions and aim to build a legacy for future generations. Akshayam organizes a monthly discussions as part of the Unique Learning series, and this is our 70th session. And today's guest speakers are Pandit Shri Mahesh Shastri ji and Sivasri Ravi Vaidyanaat and Sivachariar. Pandit Shri Mahesh Shastri ji is a Panchang Siddhanti of mypanchang.com and also helps us in preparing the North American Hindu Panchangam being released by us every English calendar year. He lives in the greater Seattle area. He's a learned scholar in Yajurveda, Dharma Shastra, Vedic astrology of Krishnamurti Paddhati, and very well versed in the Western astrology as well. Sivasri Ravi Vaidyanaat Sivachariar is a scholar in Veda Agama Shastra, and he serves as the Director of Religious Affairs at the Hindu Temple. Sivacharya ji, may I request you to render a prayer before we commence the session?
Okay. Harihi Om. Sadha Shiva Samarambham Sri Kanthacharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vandhe Guru Paramparam Suryam Sundara Lokanatam Amritam Vedanta Sharam Shivam Jnanam Brahmamayam Suresham Amalam Lokaikachittam Swayam Indradityanarādhipam Suragurum Trailokya Chudamanim Brahma Vishnu Shiva Swarupa Hridayam Vande Sadaha Bhaskaram Tidesya Sriyamapnoti Varad Ayushyavardhanam Nakshatrat Dharate Papam Yoga Droga Nivaranam Karanat Karya Siddhi Syat Panchanga Palamuttamam Etesham Sravanan Nityam Ganga Snanapalam Bhavet Harihi Om. Thank you. I think you are muted, Karthi.
Sorry about that. So let me give a quick introduction about Akshayam. For those who are watching our program for the first time, I would recommend you to view the earlier sessions on the Panchanga, which were streamed on March 21st, 2020, December 18th, 2021, December 17th, 2022, and November 15th, 2023, through our temple's YouTube and Facebook pages, as we might skip over certain points we have touched upon earlier. In today's session, which is the fourth of its kind in the learning series, we will focus on the impact, effect, and remedy due to transit of planets, occurrences of solar eclipse, daily occurrences of Rahu Kala, Yamaganta, and Kuliga times, and adoption of Hindu Panchanga for religious, civil, social, and astrological purposes. Before I could proceed further, I wish to remind you all that if you have any questions, if you have any clarification that you seek, you can post it in the comment section, and we will address them at the end of the session. If anyone missed this live session, you're welcome to view it later at your leisure through the temple's YouTube and Facebook pages. So the first question goes to Sivacharya ji. To begin, even though it was explained in our earlier sessions for the benefit of several viewers, I wish to ask this question to Sivacharya ji as to what is unique about the Hindu Panchanga.
Okay. Thank you, Karthik, for the introduction. So the primary and the practical use of any typical calendar system or Panchanga system is to identify the day, the date, the month, year, and a few national and local holidays. It plays an important role as a tool for our time planning. The Hindu Panchanga system or almanac it follows a traditional Indian cosmology, astronomical and astrological phenomena, and movement of heavenly bodies, and it also involves some arithmetic and geometrical calculations. Of course, the traditional Panchang provides us information considering the basic 5 elements. That's why it is called as Panchanga, like Tithi, Vara, Nakshatra, Yoga, and Karana. So these 5 elements are basically represented as Panchanga, around which only we calculate everything. Also, a Hindu Panchang provides a lot more information that are required to perfectly perform any religious kriyas or any events or any rituals or to observe any festival or events. Additionally, Panchang data includes the celestial occurrences on any given date, whether be it sunrise or sunset or moonrise or moonset or prevalent of the star constellation on a given day or the zodiac sign of that particular day, or anything abnormally happens like the eclipses, and also on every day what is auspicious time and things like that. It goes on giving lot more information. These are all the various astronomical calculations which are applied to arrive at the exact time for each event, be it a solar system or a lunar system or a luni-solar system. Whichever way, it gives you a perfect, all in one Panchanga gives everything together. And of course, based on the specific logic and pramanas, each sages, they have established a school of thought and developed a siddhanta or developed a doctrine and revealed us the source of how to compute a Panchanga. Most of our rishis have applied the wheel of time method. Of course, there are very different ways of calculating the time. Most of us calculate based on the wheel of time method, and very few have also applied arrow of time, which is called like light travel time or light years. Like even Einstein worked out in that way. If you will take even time travel method to compute the times. Of course, we must have seen in various verses or various suktas in Veda, it talks about Triloka Sanchari. That means one who travels to all the 3 lokas, and Trikala Jnani, all the time, the past, present, and future, or even Kala. We used to say for Devis, we used to worship Kala Chakra Pravartika Namaha, we say, and Kala name Namaha, like that. There are a lot of phrases which are used, which are talking about the time calculations. So it is believed that Supreme God determine, control, and monitor the time cycle. And it is also said that these rishis who have given us the formula to compute the time, they have the ability to use their third eye to travel between time cycles and express. Because in today's knowledge, NASA will be sending the satellites and find out the global phenomena and tell us. But in those days, rishis had such ability to travel to various time cycles, and they were able to reveal us the system. So that's about our Hindu, or special about our Hindu Panchanga system. Thank you, Karthi.
Well, that's fascinating. My next question is to Pandit Shri Mahesh Shastri ji. Could you explain to our viewers on transit of planets, how frequently it happens, how it impacts us, and ways to protect us, or if there is any pariharas? Specifically, I've heard about the Guru Pravesam that happens every year, and the most devious one is the Sunny Pravesam, which happens every 2.5 years.
So, so planetary calculations are done first from the center of the sun, which is called, we call it heliocentric. The heliocentric planets never go retrograde. Okay, their motions are different. But for astrological and panchang purposes, we have to check the planets as viewed from the earth. Okay, so that is called geocentric. So for panchanga, we always use geocentric method. Now moon is always geocentric because moon orbits around the earth. uh, Not really, actually. There is a lot of mathematics behind it, because whenever two bodies are in heaven, one will never orbit around another. So they will, it is called barycenter. So they will always orbit around the center of mass, both will. So the center of mass of the moon is inside the earth, so forget about that. So moon is always geocentric, but all other planets we have to calculate the angle between sun, planet, and the earth, so that we get. So based on that, we know that like moon will orbit around roughly 2 and 1/4 days, um, that takes around earth, because it's a direct relationship with um, earth. Sun also direct relationship 1 month, because we calculate the heliocentric sun, earth, and then we add 180 degrees, that gives us the sun. So roughly always 1 month. Mercury and Venus roughly 1 and 1.5 month, depending upon the if they go retrograde or not. And then comes our favorite that you have brought the issue, like Jupiter. So it takes about a year. So it is also said the Samvatsara is also based on the Jupiter's cycle, what we call as the Jovian cycle, because it takes exactly 1 year to go around the uh, Earth as we view from the Earth, geocentric orbit. Remember, all planets are heliocentric; they do not orbit around, but it creates a phenomena because we are on Earth, so they orbit around Earth. Then comes the Saturn. Saturn takes about 30 years, so 2.5 years, takes in the orbit around Earth. So, and then if we open up those slides, I can show you more details. Like basically, what you will need to understand this session is you will need our printed Panchangam. Please order through our temple website, like NY Ganesha Temple. And then you need to know your birth star and birth rashi of the moon. If you do not know, you can use the link given here, mypanchang.com/astrology. You can give your name, birth date, birth time, birthplace, and I'll tell you, we do not save any of your birth details. It just we calculate and throw it away. So if we now, so first of all, what we do is we need to know your birth nakshatra. So there are two kind of prediction that we use. First is star base and another is rashi base. So star base is more granular. So like the planets, whenever the sun travels through your birth star, what is the birth star? The star of the moon at the time of the birth is your birth star. If you do not know, please go to that website and then you will get it. Otherwise, you can contact our temple also, NY Ganesha Temple, and they will be able to help you out to know your star and everything. And by the way, and if those things are bad, you can really do the archana or special puja at the temple also. So whenever sun travels through your birth nakshatra, which is the first means your birth nakshatra itself. So you have to always calculate from the birth star. If your birth star is Maga, you have to calculate the Maga first, and then so on and so forth. So if your sun is in the birth star and the 20th star from the birth star, or 21st, 22nd, 23rd, or 26 or 27, it gives the bad result, because the one in the birth nakshatra is obvious, because Janma Nakshatra. So you will have some mental worries and all those things. All other positions are good. And then the sun and the moon will, if you travels from your birth star or the second from the birth star, or 16, 17, 18, it's a bad. Especially moon has to do with the mental worries. Moon will give you mental worries, blood related problems, and that's what moon will do to you. And all other positions are good. And then the Mars list is very long here. If it travel from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 from your birth star, it is really bad. And then also bad will be 12, 13, 14, 15, and then not 16, 17, but 18, 19, 19, 20, 21, it's bad. All others are good. Same way Buddha means Mercury is all about intelligence, your articulation skills. your oratory skills also Mercury. So when it's bad, you need to watch what you speak and think before speaking, or write whatever you write just before sending the send button, read through it. So first, second, third, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 18, 19 are bad. Same are goes for the Brihaspati and Shukra, all good planets, benefic planet. These are the bad position. And then comes the what we call as the Papa Graha, called Shani, Rahu, Ketu. They all give the bad result when they are first from your Janma Nakshatra, 9, 10, 11, 26 and 27. They will give bad results, and then all others are, they will give you the good results. Now we will go through the next slide, the from the Rashi also. So if we go to the next slide, this will go to the Rashi. Now that this is important thing, like whenever you see any newspaper, your Rashi Phalam, this is exactly calculated based on that. Your yearly Rashi Phalam, weekly Rashi Phalam, daily Rashi Phalam. Daily is pretty much based on the moon. Weekly is combining the results of the major planets and also the Mercury and Venus also. The more yearly is more around Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, Rahu, Ketu. That's more yearly around. So unless they give you detailed month by month outlook, then they will take into consideration of Mercury and Venus also. So here you see there is inauspicious position and auspicious position. So I would say auspicious position is called Gocharasthana, and inauspicious positions are not so good. So whenever sun transit from your first house, second house, fourth house, fifth house, eighth house, ninth house, and 12th house, usually all planet will give bad result in the 12th house and first house, except moon, because first house is you yourself, like so so this will give you the bad results, and others are good, like 3, 5, 7. 7 will give travel. In olden days, travel was considered bad, but nowadays everybody wants to travel abroad, or they want to collect the points for the traveling, so put it nowadays in auspicious position. But you need to be very careful when you travel, if it's in the travel seventh house, about your luggage and all other things. And then 10th, 11 is always good for any, for most planets. Moon will give you 2, 4, 5, 8, 12 position from your birth rashi. So if your birth rashi is a Simha, so Simha, and then Kanya will give you the bad results. So 2, 5, 2, 4, 5, 8, and 12 will give you the bad result by moon. All others will be good. Mars will give bad results in 1, 2, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 12, and only 3, 6, 11 is good. Because when I will go to more details when we go to the bigger planets like Jupiter and Saturn, how this number will mean. And then Mercury 1, 3, 7, 9, 12 will give the bad results, inauspicious results. So you need to be very careful about depending upon the properties. Like when Mars is bad, you should not take unnecessary risk. Otherwise, you will have a problem. When Mercury is bad, read that email before sending the hitting the send twice. Or whatever you say, think through it. Be a good listener when the Mercury is bad. Because if you become a good listener, that's a karma related remedy. And then Brahaspati will give the 1, 3, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 will give the bad results. All other are good. And there is a mantra also for Brahaspati. What are good? Dvidharme cha labhe sute saptame syat guru labhakari kraya vikraya. So that is a Gochar mantra. So everything is written in our Shastras. Shukra will give bad result in 1, 6, 7, 10, and all others are good. Now let's come to the Shani. Now Shani is, I will give more detailed explanation about Saturn, and you can, how I am using the thought process, you can apply for other planets also. For example, when Shani is in the first house, So first house is your own sthana. Wherever Shani is there, it will give the bad results, of course. And where it aspects also give the bad results. So Shani special aspects are 3 and 10, and everybody has 7th aspect. So from Lagna, it will look at the third aspect. Third aspects are younger siblings, third house, your courage, and then your writing skill. So it will affect it, like your communication skill. Sometimes you may not be clear on talking on phone, so that might affect you. And so your relations with your younger sibling may not be that good. 7th house is, of course, your life partner, spouse, and your business partner. So when Shani aspect there, you will have a doubt about them. So unnecessarily sometimes. So you need to be careful about what you speak with your life partners. So that is the 7th house. Travel also 7th house, short travel. Be careful in the travel so you don't lose anything. And then the 10th aspect, it will aspect the 10th house. 10th house is the work we do, reputation at work, reputation in society. That could be effect because of our own stupidity. So because Saturn wants you to go slow. So if you go slow, things will be fine. Otherwise, things will be bad. So, and you need to give more importance to the karma you do. So that is the Saturn in the first house. Second house is finance. Saturn will give the bad result in the second house. Second house is finance, family, and then you will look at the fourth house, like but the third aspect. Fourth house is happiness. So your happiness, family happiness, your friends, your relation may not be good. So likewise, you need to calculate that, and then it will also aspect the eighth house. Eighth house is your accidents, like your health, death, those kind of thing. Also, that's a negative thing, but there is a positive thing is also about eighth house. Research. So you do own research. Don't do just like use chat gpt and do all those things. You need to use your own research in the work you do. Then the negative can become positive. See, whenever there is a negative, there is a positive. So eighth house is research. Do your own research, background research, new age, use all those things, then it will be good. And 11th house, it will look by the 10th aspect. So 11th house is elder brother, and then gains, friends, that will be affected. So gains could be affected because it aspect the 11th house. If it is in 11th house, it's a good, but the aspect is bad. Remember this. So likewise, and also when Shani is in the 12th house at the beginning of the 7.5 years, the Yalnad Shani, what we call in Telugu, please write into the comments, whatever you call it in Telugu, Tamil, Kannada, Hindi, Gujarati. So that way we will know whatever. So write your experiences with Sadesati also in the comments. So the more comments you write, this the way YouTube algorithm works is it will promote it more and it will help others. So the 12th is beginning first phase of the Sadesati, what we call at 7.5 years. And then when it's the first one, so that is the 12th house, means on the head. Second house, then the second phase is on the chest, which is on the first house. And then the last phase when the Shani is in the second house, which is in the legs. So that is the beginning of the Sadesati. And when Shani is in the fourth house, it is a 2.5 years. What we call is Panoti in Hindi. Please write in Gujarat, in Telugu, Tamil. What do you call? Please do comment. And then 2.5 years. Same goes for the eighth one. So 2.5 years. And then comes fifth house is like worries about child. Fifth house is children, your long-term investment that could be affected. And then ninth house is father, so you need to be worried about your father's health and all those kind of things. And then 10th house is always work, and 12th house is travel, your meditation. Whenever you do meditation, your expenses will be rise. So when you do meditation, your mind will waver, and then 12th house means also expense, your expenses will rise. Now one thing is, this is not the always they will give this result. Like there are so there is Gochara Sthana and Veda Sthana. So when there is a planet in the Vedasthana, so uh, suppose Shani is in the first house, it will give the good result. But the is Gochar Sthana is third. So whenever some planet is transiting through third house, except Saturn, except Sun, because Sun does not block the good and bad result of Saturn. Likewise, Saturn will not block the good and bad results of the Sun. Likewise, Mercury will not block the good and bad results of Moon, and vice versa. So there is a Graha, there is a Gochar Sthana and a Veda Sthana. So for example, if Saturn is giving a bad result, but at the same time Jupiter is transiting through the third house, then it will block that Shani, Saturn's bad result for at least a year. Or if it is a Mars, at least for 3 to 4 months. So, and same way like Rahu and Ketu. So Rahu will give you the trouble with the your illusions, like whatever you have made up your mind. So that's what it will give you. So try to clear about the doubts and remove the illusion. Can we go to the next slide, please? So this is the transit through the Rashi. So now, whenever we do about the Sade Sati or Panoti, 2.5 years, people blindly say, oh, it's bad, but sometimes it can be good. Because what we have to know, what is the paya, and these are the metal, if it's a gold paya, silver paya, copper or iron. How to know it? We have explained here. If the moon is in 168, so you have to know on the day of the transit of the Saturn. Let's see, next year 2025, it is happening on 29th of March 2025. You need to open our NY Panchangam, check the moon position on that day. Our Panchangs are very detailed. They give you the moon position also, moon Rashi. So take the moon Rashi. Now calculate from your birth Rashi. Suppose for that day moon is in let's say Kanya Rashi, and your Rashi is Mesh Rashi. So you will calculate Mesh, Vrashab, Mithun, Kark, Singh, Kanya, sixth position. So moon is in the sixth position, then base is gold. And if it's a mesh and Shani is entering into the mean Rashi, so you have to calculate from mesh to mean. So it becomes a 12. So first phase of the Sade Sati for the mesh Rashi. So then that Sade Sati will give bad result. But if it's in the gold base, it will amplify in the areas we have mentioned here: the family trouble, health issue, expenses, trouble with friends. So likewise, but suppose if your Rashi is mean Rashi, okay, and Saturn is in, and then that day moon is in Kanya Rashi. So mean Mesh, Vrashab, Mithun, Kark, Singh, Kanya, it becomes 7. So moon is 7. So base is copper. So although you are in Sade Sati for mean Rashi, it will bring the some good news with money, but you have to work for it because it is a Sade Sati. Shani will not give you, okay, in a golden platter, okay, take it. So good for money, business gain, marriage and children. So that way, so this is how you calculate the paya. So the paya also affect the results of the Sade Sati, and the same way it also affects 2.5 years of this thing. And during that time, if any planets are going into the Gochara Sthana of Saturn, like 3, 6, 11, it will give it will block the Ashubha results, those planets during the time they are in, except Sun. Sun will never block the Shani's result. Vice versa, Saturn will not block the Sun's result. This is the rule you have to apply in the case of father and son. And likewise, if moon is 259 from your birth Rashi on the day of transit, the base is silver, it will be good for business, inheritance, etc. The worst case is if the moon is in 4, 8, and 12 from the birth Rashi, then it will be on the base of the iron. So if this will apply only if you are going to the Sade Sati, which is called 7.5 years, or 2.5 years of the Shani trouble. If it is a 4, 8, and 12, the base is iron. So iron is the worst of the kind, worst of the kind. So you please take care of your health and everything, because it's 4th, 8, and 12. Now we'll see the general results from the in United States and pretty much Europe. It will be happening on Shani is entering into Mina on March 29, 2025. But if you are in, let's say, Middle East, India, Australia, and like Malaysia, then it will be on 30th of month. So result doesn't change. It will be the same no matter which part of the world you are in. So if you have a Mesh Rashi, you are into the Sade Sati. Like I say, it will be the 12. So it's in the head. Base is iron. So which will amplify the bad result. So if you are careless, please don't be careless. You have to pay attention to the details. Health issue, eat properly. And then marriage issues, don't fight with your spouse, financial losses, government troubles. Now, if you are Vrishabh Rashi, you will have a financial gain, no problem. Mithuna Rashi, you will have a weakness uh, for because it will be the 10th, from. So you need to give attention at your work also. Pay attention at your work because it is 10th from the your Janma Rashi. And Kark Rashi, you will be careless little bit. Take care of your father's health, or your guides, mentor. Make sure you do not enter into heated debates with them, arguments. So Simha Rashi, yes, it's a 2.5 years. What we call as a panoti, base is iron, health issue, marriage issue, financial losses, government troubles. For Kanya Rashi, you will have a travel and need to be sure that about your luggage, you take care of it, and eat healthy. Tula Rashi, it will be gain. Vrishik Rashi, financial losses for Vrishik Rashi. And for Dhanush Rashi, it will be, yes, 2.5 years of, and what we call as a panoti, iron based loss, health issues, marriage issues, financial losses, government trouble. Pay taxes on time and don't do any unnecessarily bad thing to be on the wrong side of the government, And then Kumbha Rashi will be Sadesati, which will be on the last phase of the Sadesati. It will be in the legs and silver. So silver means there will be expenses, loss. So silver is a good one. But you will have expenses, losses, business will prosper at the same time. There will be marriage in family and gain from government because uh, base is silver. And the same way Meena Rashi is chase, base is gold. So disease, trouble from family, enemies, quarrels, and expenses. So this is the are the general results. And remember, the transit results are 20% only. So if your dasha is very good, it will pretty much take care of it. But if your dasha is also bad and then transit is also bad, it will be bad. So please contact your astrologer or contact the temple. The information to contact temple will be in the comment section. And please do write your comments.
Okay. Thank you. So I guess that, I mean, we learned a lot about the transit of 9 planets to the 27 nakshatras and the 12 rasis. Definitely, it was quite interesting to note about the details, because even though most of the people just talk about the Sunny Payarchi or the Guru Payarchi. My next question is to Mr. Panditji, Sri Mahesh Shastri ji again. Could you please explain on the significance of eclipse, how frequently it happens, and ways to protect us, or pariharas, if any?
So let's go to that slide. I will explain you more in more detail. So pariharas, like for any planetaries, like do graha mantra jap, rudrabhishekam, and then appropriate danam for the planet. Try to improve the aspect controlled by the planet. For example, sun, try to be generous. Moon, have a stable mind. Mars, relation with younger sibling, try to improve. Doing dharma. Mercury, try to solve puzzles, problem solving. Read your document properly. Jupiter, guru seva, follow dharma, reading, controlling food, eating, work out regularly. Venus is help poor girls, help them to get job if they need, bring them nice clothes. If some poor girl needs to marry and doesn't have money, help them, that will sunny. One thing is that work hard, work hard, work hard, work hard, help poor animal. And Rahu, you can do visualize the problem and solution. Rudrabhishek will help for Rahu. Same way, Ketu remove asakti, attachment. One of the very good way to do is read Ashtavakra Gita and Kathopanishad. Now, the question of eclipses. There are usually maximum eclipses. 7 eclipses can happen in a year, maximum. But on an average, we see the 3-4 eclipse only in a year, like 4 eclipse, two solar, 2 lunar. But in general, on an average, and see this, yes. So if we go back to that slide, the blue slide, that will tell you what is eclipse. So eclipse is like, see, the earth is like this. This is north pole, this is south pole. It is not like this. It is bit tilted, or 23.45 roughly. As a result, equator is also tilted. But from earth, it appears to us that sun orbits around earth. So that is called, what we call as the ecliptic, or kranti vritta in Sanskrit. In physics, it is also called upper and annular path of the sun. So that means you make a new equator with the tilt. So that becomes ecliptic. That appears to us that sun orbits around the earth with the earth in the center. And then the moon's orbit. Moon always orbits around the earth. So wherever it intersects, the moon orbit on the ecliptic. These are the point where sun, moon, and earth are there. They will be always in the straight line. It is called nodes of the moon. The Rahu is also known as moon's north node or dragon's head. You know what dragon we call it in Sanskrit? Rakshas, anything not humane. Remember Vishnu beheaded a demon, Rahu, dragon's head. And actually this part is tail because head pops out from the tail, right? So so this is tail. So this is Ketu and this is Rahu. So dragon's tail is the moon south node is called Ketu. So this is what, and this is where sun and moon are together. It is Amavasya and their opposite, it's Purnima. So this is the graphic basically tells you, because these are the point when sun, moon, earth are there, they will be always in straight line. Now we go back to the eclipse, the first slide, the slide before. Now, what to do on the avoid on the day of eclipse? If the half limb is eclipse, you need to avoid the one day and after, basically, for any auspicious things. If the half limb is eclipse, then avoid 2 days before and after. And then the 3/4 limb is eclipse, then 3 days before and after. If total eclipse, then avoid 4 days before and after. Now, you should note down in our Panchang, we give the timing of the eclipse, you know. So note down the timing, check open the Panchang, find out the nakshatra at that time. And in Muhurta, and you can avoid that nakshatra. If eclipse is during sunrise, avoid for 6 months. And if is eclipse is during the setting, sunset, like, then if total, then 6 months. If 3/4, then 4.5 months. And if it's the half, 3 months. And if it is only 1/4 or less than 1/4, then avoid for 1 month. These are the precautions for the eclipse. And you need to know 3, 6, and 11. If eclipse is happening in the rashis of 3, 6, 11 from your birth rashi, it will give good results. Otherwise, it will give you bad results.
Okay.
Thank you. So what about the pariharas for individuals who are not aware of their birth star or their rasi?
The best pariharam is, this is a very good question. What to do if you do not know your birth date and birth time? So if you know the properties of the sun, like I said, if you have a lot of government problems, trouble with father, most likely you have a trouble with son. So then you try to give more donation, chant Gayatri Mantra, chant Aditya Hridayam. I'm sure temple have classes to teach Veda, and like if you want to learn any mantra, contact the temple, like how to chant Aditya Hridayam, and best pariharam for everything is Rudrabhishekam and Vishnu Sahasranamam. our temple will do have a Veda classes that teaches you how to
Yes.
chant Namakam, Chamakam, Rudram. Learn those, and and also chant Gayatri mantra and base Om Namah Shivaya is the good, and also Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, because Vishnu Sahasranam says Vaidya Vaidya Sada Yogi. So Narayana is the biggest doctor you can think about. And I can tell you my personal experience. When I had colon cancer, I went through the surgery chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, and I came back after the back of my mind, that mantra was still going on. And you know what, I did not need any chemo or anything. So I do believe Vaidya Vaidya Sada Yogi. So Narayana is biggest Vaidya. So chant Narayana's name, Lord Shiva's name, and Hari Haryo Vedam Nasti. There is no difference between Hari and Hara. All the Veda we see at the Adi Bhautik and Adi Daivik. At Adhyatmic level, the differences vanishes. So please do keep that in mind.
I think I wish to add a few points on eclipse,
Mhm.
especially related to the myth. There are a lot of stories used to be told about how the eclipse are happening, whether it is lunar or solar. But most commonly, across the world, I have found out how it is expressed by people and pass the message to down the line. And the famous myth which is told is, there is a snake which is swallowing the sun, like that. Now I was just trying to find out, is it only Hindus are talking about it? No, it is not. I have picked up from few other theologies too. So if you refer to the ancient Egypt theology, they say a serpent, which is in their theology, they call it Apep, which is said to swallow the sun god. They call the sun god as a Ra, and during the solar eclipse. And they narrate that Apep means it is the spirit of evil and chaos who try to stop the sun from returning to east at night time during the eclipse time. So they also says that there are so many other deities which fought with Apep to release the sun and to prevent the world from darkness. Also, the people of that part of Egypt, they used to make a big commotion by scaring away the Apep by banging on metallic pots and pans and beating drums, like how during COVID, no, they used to make sound using metals. So similarly, they used to do it in Egyptian theology by banging metallic pots and all, and they also set firecrackers and even firing the cannons. So such kind of things are also done. And if you look at Vikings theology, they say a wolf known as Skoll would catch up the sun. Of course, their sun god is called as Sol, and which will be plunging the world into darkness. To relieve it, they also narrate about the eclipse. If I have to look at the Chinese ancient theology, they say a dragon, like Mahesh was saying, a dragon would try to eat the sun. And but again, people make big commotion to scare away it. And of course, coming back to this side, the western side, the South America, they say the leopard would try to eat the sun during the eclipse. And in Vietnam, I was told there is a great frog which will swallow the sun. And there are even pictures I have seen in Mayans theology. There is an ancient pictures which is depicting a snake, and it's on its mouth. The sun is shown in their picture. Can you show only me? And so now coming to our Hindu Puranas. Our Hindu Puranas, of course, we talk about Rahu Ketu's involvement during the eclipse. So, of course, the Puranas explain differently, but I will also tell you both what Purana says and what our science talks about it in understanding the eclipse. So, it is said Rahu will try to obtain trying to obtain immortality by swallowing the sun during the eclipse time, and but was beheaded by Lord Vishnu. So that is why you see in the Navagraha, Rahu doesn't have the head, whereas the Ketu will have the snake head, and Rahu is only tail part is there. But Rahu continues to chase the sun, because there is another Purana, I'll come to that, which is the Rahu trying to gulp the sun, which is why they call it that particular period of time, it's called as eclipse. There is also another legend, all of us, this story was mingled with the Samudra Manthan, where they know both Asuras and Devas trying to churn the ocean, and they get Amrita, the nectar. So they were fighting between between Devas and Asuras, who will share how much and what it is. So, the Dhanvantari emerged out of it, Mahalakshmi emerged out of it, all those things we know. So during the distribution of the Amrita, the nectar, so it was told one side full of Devas and other side full of Asuras used to sit. And the Amrita was being distributed from the golden pot in full hands, first to all the Devas. So looking at this, one of the Asura, who is called as Swarabhanu or Swarbhanu, they say, who is a demon. So this Asura, he come to the other side as Deva, posing himself as a Deva, and sit in between moon and sun. And he also get the Amrita, so he becomes immortality. Nobody can kill him. So that is one story which says that means, I will tell where the science comes into this place. So the Surya just, it seems, has told that this guy, an Asura, who in the pose of Deva took the Amrita, so his head was cut into two pieces. So one body with the two head, like Sharaba. Okay, then he went, and this Asura was doing tapas with Brahma, and Brahma said, okay, one of your head will be the head of a snake, and another head will be like an Asura, because he is really an Asura. So that is why you will see in a temple, when the Navagraha, the Ketu will be with a snake head, and Rahu will be with a Asura head. Okay, so like that, there are different legend and different story. The crux of it, coming to the science, what happened, why this story is told in this way, and this basically for people to understand the concept of Rahu and Ketu, how it moves around, and how it's a single entity, the tail and this thing, how it is spread, all those things were. So I was reading one of the ancient book, both in the south and north and things like that. It is said the planets like Angaraha, Buddha, Brihaspati, Shukra, Shani, and Chandra, these 6 planets have got padagrahas. Each has got 2 padagrahas. So now we are talking about the eclipse. There is only an involvement of Earth, Moon, and Sun. So let us talk about the Chandra, the Moon, and its padagraha. So padagraha is known as Purva Pada Rahu, and Uttara Pada is called as Ketu. That is why we say this Rahu Ketu as a lunar nodes, or they are the padagraha. Okay, and they are the shadow planets, like different name we call it. So it is Rahu Ketu is basically a padagraha of Chandra, and the Rahu Ketu is located exactly opposite on both sides as a lunar node. That's why Rahu Ketu is always on the opposite side. If you look at the 12 Rashi Mandala, when for example, if the Rashi Mandala of Rahu is in position 12, you will see the Ketu in the chart in the position or in the house 6. Suppose if the Rahu is in 9th house, you will see Ketu. So the distance between them is always 7 houses. This is a standard rule, and this, you take any birth chart of any person born in this world, and you will see his Rasi chart and Amsar chart. You will always see the Rahu and Ketu are at a distance of 7 houses. Any person born on any date in any part of the world, this is a standard. So that means this is what explained, when it is, even though it is a split into 2, they are not actually split into complete 2. Only the top portion is split, bottom portion is there. So like Sharabha Murti, we used to say. And it is also said this Rahu Ketu moves in the anti-clockwise movement. This and every 1.5 years it takes to move from one house to other house, and it takes 18 years. 1.5 years into 18 years, it completes one cycle of crossing over all the 12 houses. So when this is happening, and because Rahu Ketu is the Padagraha of Chandra, and you will always see the eclipse, whether it is lunar eclipse or a solar eclipse, this Rahu Ketu involvement is there. Okay, and what happened is, I can explain to in the next slide, like, when next, go to the next. Okay, so if you see the solar eclipse, you will see the sun and moon are in conjunction, okay, or together. Okay, so which is why we say no, it is the sun, the moon is in between earth and sun. So, and because of the Rahu Ketu is a Padagraha, you will always see on the Amavasya day this happens. Like how I said Rahu Ketu's thing in the Amavasya day also, it will be in the same position. Okay, you will see moon and sun together along with Rahu, then it will be called as Rahu Grasta. When the moon and sun is in Ketu house, then it will be called as Ketu Grasta. That is the time the eclipse will always happen. So any astrologer, when he want to calculate when the eclipse will happen, so he has to work out only between the movement of Rahu Ketu and how it is in conjunction with the moon. So that is the exact time we can predict the. So that means an involvement of Rahu Ketu is always there in the either lunar eclipse or solar eclipse. That is why people used to talk the story about, because Rahu and Ketu are represented by a snake element. So it is actually the Rahu Ketu's shadow, which is also be part of along with the moon, which is actually obstructing the sun rays falling on the earth. So you see a solar eclipse. So it is a, because it's almost end of Amavasya it happens. So you will see the shadow of Rahu or Ketu also on that particular time. That is why it is said the Rahu or Ketu is swallowing the sun and then releasing it like that. It is almost like, how do we compare? For example, a statue is being sculpted on a stone sculpture. So we used to say, who is actually sculpting? Whether is the Shilpi is sculpting the stone, or the tool which is having in his hand is sculpting it. Actually the chisel and hammer, not even hammer, only the chisel which is touching the stone is cutting it, and making it. Whereas the Chandra, which is the I can say like a sculptor's mind. So actually the chisel is cutting us. Similarly, the shadow is actually the Rahu or Ketu shadow, and along with, in conjunction with the moon. That is why it is always, the myth is told about, snake is capturing the eclipse. During that time, the shadow of Rahu Ketu is in the clutch of them, whether lunar eclipse or solar eclipse. That is why this story is being told. Similarly, if you look at the lunar, one difference between lunar and solar is, in solar eclipse, both sun and moon will be either in Rahu Grasta or in Ketu Grasta. Whereas in a lunar eclipse, which happens on a Purnima day, you will see, if the sun is in Rahu, moon will be in Ketu. Or if the sun is in Ketu, moon will be in Rahu. So in between only this eclipse happens. So that is how the eclipse happen. Go to the next slide. So if you look at the actual movement of Rahu Ketu, which is in between the sun and moon paths. So that this is one of the reason the myth is told, because a layman cannot understand if you tell scientifically how this is moving in an eclipse and what is the intersection point and all those things. Simply if you tell Rahu or Ketu, which is the snake element, is capturing it. So people believe it. Of course, if you go deep dive into that, you know the science behind it. So that is one myth which is cleared scientifically, but through Puranas and stories. As Mahesh ji said, there could be a minimum of 3 eclipses in a year, whether solar or lunar, the maximum will be 7. And always we know the solar eclipse will happen on the Amavasya day and lunar eclipse on the thing. Amavasya is, it's the, why the name Amavasya is like Upavasa. Upavasa means closer to, whereas in Amavasya is in conjunction to. So moon is in conjunction with uh, sun. So that is why it is Amavasya. Okay. So of course, already Maheshji talked about the pariharas and things like that. I would like to add one point, like, our Vedic text talks great about the period of time, which is Grahana time, the eclipse time. During the eclipse, it's said to multiply the karmas, good karmas on us. That is why it is always said one has to carry out japa in the name of God, chanting the God name, or do tarpana to ancestors, because ancestors are also will fetch us the good karma, or give danas to Brahmins and things like that. And there is also one more small myth I would tell about this and then go to the next question. See, there is also one more thing which talk about grahana dosha or grahana tit, whatever it is. So this is basically to inculcate people's mind that the time of the eclipse is actually will help us in multiply our karmas by doing the japa and all. So during that time, it is said, please avoid eating food. So to prevent people from eating food, what is done? Normally, we used to follow a tradition or customary to place a piece of darba grass or kusha grass in food items, in groceries, in milk and curd and all, so that to prevent us consuming this food. But if you look at the science behind it, is the darba grass has got a sharp edge throughout its length. Okay, so if you put that a piece of this darba grass in each of this item, if even by mistake somebody tries to eat the food, it will cut our tongue. So to prevent eating during the grahana time, this practice was being used by people. And not only that, in today's time, no, we used to put signboards and things which doesn't work out. Even people try to overcome the sign and then try to eat. It is not good to eat. That's to inculcate a good practice of doing japa, tarpana and all. So this was told. It is not a myth again, no, but it is also good to. Of course, there are some people talk about the earth gravity is not good at that time, so there won't be proper digestion. All those other things are also there. So, but it is not a superstitious, but it is scientific. And when Maheshji was talking about the parihara, there also, like how he's talking about parihara during the planet transit, during the eclipse also, there are some parihara related to each nakshatra and rashi. For example, if I have to tell a Chandra Grahana or a lunar eclipse, how do we calculate is the prevailing nakshatra of that day, then the previous and the following, and 10th and 19th nakshatra will have to do parihara. But however, everyone will have to do japa, tarpana and all to get multiplied or multiple good karmas. So I think with this I will close. I think Saimi is also getting up. We will quickly go to the. I think we'll entertain only one more question and then try to wind up Karthi.
Okay. The last question would be, definitely it was fantastic to know about the truth behind the solar and lunar eclipse and the myth under different faiths, traditions, and the solution to safeguard us from these eclipses.
One
Sivachariar
thing I
ji,
would like to add is
go
in
ahead.
all of the cultures, Rahu like snake is common.
Common,
Remember?
exactly. Yes.
It was
Yes.
fascinating for sure.
Yes.
But anyways, Sivacharya ji, since you mentioned about the shadow planet and lunar node Rahu Ketu, could you also explain on Rahu Kalam, Yamaganda, and Kuliga time that occurs every day? I think one of the people also commented asking about the Rahu Kala. So if you can talk about that. Shivacharya.
Good. Okay. So I already explained you the Rahu Ketu is a shadow planet or a lunar node connected with Chandra. So it is also called in Vedic text as a Pada Graha. The first Graha is Rahu, second is Ketu under the clutches of Chandra. That's why we call both as a lunar node. And when you call about Rahu Kala, Yamakanta and Gulika, no, these three is what your question. See, Rahu, we know who is Rahu. And Kala refers to the measure of time. And the measure of time with the influence of Rahu is called as Rahu Kala. A time like 1.5 years it takes to transit from each house, and it takes 18 years to complete one cycle. Similarly, in every day, 1.5 hours it takes to move from one house to other house, one planet to other, because Rahu Ketu doesn't have its own house. So it has to borrow, it has to rent places every day, like 1.5 hours in each house. So that part of time is called as Rahu Kala. Now, let me explain what is Yamakanta. Like Yama also, we know who is Yama, and Kanda. Kanta means, like for example, we say Bharata Kanta, Aindra Kanta. This Kanta means a piece of land, or a division like continent, or a part. So here, like a part of a time, a measure of time is another word for that part of the time in a day is with the influence of Ketu is called as Yamakanta. Now coming to the Gulika, which is also again both Rahu Kala and Yamakanta, is approximately 90 minutes or 1.5 hours. Now coming to which is contrary to Rahu Ketu, Gulika is very different. Gulika is having some kind of alignment with Manda. Manda means slow or lazy or dull person. So the Gulika is something related to why they are relating it to Manda or Shani. Shani is, even though it's a Sthira Rasi, and then the problem is because if you see the slides. So if you see the Saturn, which is in the outermost circle, so that means its perimeter is bigger than all other planets. So it has to take a long time to complete one. So that, like Mahesh said, it takes 30 years to complete one full chakkar of circumambulation in a clockwise direction, crossing over all 12 rashis. Each rashi is take 2.5 years. So like the 12 rashi, it takes 30 years to complete one cycle. So and perimeter also is more. So obviously it has to go a slow direction, or it takes longer time to complete the perimeter. That is why it is called as Sanaishchara. Sanaishchara means slow moving object. That is why Sanaishchara. Some people also called as Manda to represent its longer time. And that is one of the reason, if you see the Shani statue or idol Murti in any temple, it will be shown as one leg, as a proper other leg is like a handicapped person. Okay, so because it cannot go that speed as of the other planets, because it takes a long time, because the perimeter is very big. So that is the Gulika is also a replica of a Manda. But one good thing is Gulika, whatever you do, okay, Gulika also have the same 1.5 hours, but whatever you do in Gulika time, it multiples. The result will have a multiple effect. If you do good thing, that will multiple in that time. If you have to do something which is not favorable, which is not good, or which is considered impurity, so that will also reflect. Suppose if you do some impurity things during Gulika time, that will also get multiplied. If you do some good things during that time, it will also multiply. So we need to know what is good to us, what is not good to us, what is auspicious to us, what is not so auspicious to us. Accordingly, we decide how to do. Maybe let Mahesh ji also can, an expert who can tell a few words about it.
So usually what we say during Rahu Kalam, Yamagandam, Gulikai, and there is a two more thing, Durmuhurtam and Varjam.
Yes.
So these are we considered to be according to the I'm talking about classic Muhurta Chintamani text. Okay, so in usually this time has to be avoided, but like he said, Gulikai needs you can do the good things and new things. You can start new projects during Gulikai, and if it's a good one, which will make money like in a short duration, so you will, or something like meditation, you can do like something good things, you can do it. But Rahu Kalam, Yamagandam, Durmuhurtam, and Varjam has to be completely avoided, basically. So has to be completely avoided. But you can do the bad things, you can do the good things, anything in the Rahu Kalam also. We astrologers give that, provided you have to make a Lagna Shuddhi chart. You have to make a horoscope, jatakam, of that time you are doing to do the puja. And if there is a lagna shuddhi, then you can do it. Otherwise, you cannot, because the fortified lagna will remove all the doshas. Specifically, if Guru is in Kendra, which is 1, 4, 7, 10, or in Trine, which is again 1, 5, 9, it will remove like the billions of doshas. And Jupiter and then Venus will remove thousands of doshas in that place. Bad planet like Papagraha should be in 3, 6, 11 house. And then the matter in the question has to be that house has to be empty and Lord has to be strong. Like for example, eighth house should be always empty for anything. Fourth house for the graha pravesha needs to be empty and the Lord has to be fortified. For marriage, seventh house needs to be empty and the Lord has to be fortified. Lagna has to be strong. So if and but by the way, people ask, oh, my son is born during Rahu Kalam Yama Gandam. Is there in dosha? There is no dosha.
Yeah, there is a question also on that. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So I guess in closing, we hope this session provided proper guidance to people living across the Western countries to adopt the Hindu Panchanga system and gain all benefits as revealed by our great sages through the sacred text. To fulfill the defined karmas, samskaras, and achieve the desired benefits of self and the whole family, we perform various kriyas and rituals as prescribed by the Shastras and combined with our family traditions or the Kulachara, Desachara, and Sampradaya. For carrying out all such rituals, one should compute the auspicious time or favorite time, ascertaining the corresponding Ishtalagna, Nakshatra, Tithi, Yoga, Karna, month, day, etc., as recommended by Shastras and by referring to our great Panchangam. All these play a very influencing role and impact in every attempt of our life moments. We are definitely very thankful to our speakers and participants and viewers. And to remind you on the forthcoming events at our Ganesh temple, we have the Sankatahara Chaturthi Puja, which is scheduled tomorrow, which is November 18th, Monday, November 18th, which includes the special Abhishekam, um, Gakara Ganapati Archana, Prakara Utsavam, Aarti, and Sri Mahavallabha Ganapati. We have Sri Sukta Parayanam, which is 36 times. Kanagadara Sostra Parayanam, Rajata Pushpa Archana for Sri Mahalakshmi, scheduled on Saturday, November 23rd. We also have Kartika Somavara Puja, which is scheduled on Monday, 25th, November 25th, which includes the Ekadasa Sarva Rudra Abhishekam, 108 Shankha Abhishekam, and Rudra Trisati Nama Puja to Lord Shiva. Please do check the temple website, that is www.nyganeshtemple.org for more info. Namaste and thank you to all, and hope to see you at the next learning session in December with another great topic. Thank you.
Thank you.